both teams 1-0 to start the year, but they got there in different ways. A nail-biter for the Argos against Montreal, and for the Lions, it was a blowout of the Elks in week 1. They put up 59 points at home here 2 weeks ago, had a bye week, and now we'll look to keep that momentum going.
Well, let's start with the BC Lions. Nathan Rourke on opening night 2 weeks ago against the Edmonton Elks put on a show worthy of a standing ovation. 3 touchdown passes for the young quarterback that was born in Victoria and grew up in Oakville, and he ran for 2 as well. This is start number 2 of what is not an experiment but the plan here in BC. And Enoch Mwamba, the leader in the defense of the Toronto Argonauts, his assignment tonight is to stop the young quarterback and James Butler, who scored 4 touchdowns in the first half of that Edmonton game.
9-5 last year for Ryan Dinwiddie. Added the OC title to his resume this year. Was a finalist for Coach of the Year last year. On the other side, it'll be Rick Campbell. Obviously, that great start in week 1. They're looking for their first 2-0 start since 2016. Both of these teams looking to start the year with a couple of wins. And we should be in for a great battle here tonight in Vancouver to wrap up another week of Canadian Football League action. Thank you very much for joining us. Toronto will get set to kick this thing away to start us on the West Coast. Purifoy waiting back for it around his own 10-yard line for the BC Lions. And he'll take a few steps over to his right, corral it at around the 7. Back up to the 20 for Purifoy. Far side to the 30. A nice return here to start the game for Luchez Purifoy.
Well, here are the numbers from game 1 2 weeks ago against Edmonton. 90% completion percentage, tops in the CFL in week 1. 282 yards, 3 touchdown passes. Did not throw an interception. Got James Butler involved in a big way early. I mentioned the 4 touchdowns in the first half for Butler. Got him out of the backfield a ton in the passing game and running the football.
Got to go back to G. Roy in 2004, I believe, to find 4 touchdowns in one game for the BC Lions. And Butler did it in a half, which he said he had coaches from grade 7 saying, I think you did that for us. And he's like, it was grade 7, coach. A little different here in the Canadian Football League. Rourke's going to start quickly, and he's got a completion to Keon Hatcher. Let's take a look at this entire offense for the BC Lions.
Yeah, ask Rick Campbell, who graded out well up front. He said Suk Chung, the veteran in the University of Calgary, 6'4", 315 for Chung, and he played great in game 1. There's Butler, his 4 touchdowns we just talked about out of Iowa, but also played college ball at Nevada. And Brian Burnham had a quiet night in week 1.
2nd and 5 here for Rourke. Gets it to Butler. Lunging ahead. That second effort will be very close to a first down. Here's what the Argos are bringing to the table defensively.
And when you score 59 points and Brian Burnham's not involved, you're playing good on offense. Shane Ray is out of the starting lineup for the Argos. Also only played 1 game. Robbie Smith will replace him. Mentioned Enoch Mwamba in the middle. He's the leader, but Wynton McManus leads the team in defensive tackles with 7 after 1 game. And Tavares McFadden, 1 interception in their first game.
3rd and less than a yard. A nice burst ahead from Rourke, and that'll be more than enough for a first down and to keep this offense on the field. And that's one of the discussions. You know, you put up so many points in week 1, everybody goes, wow, was it just against an Edmonton team that's still finding their way? Very interested to see how this offense clicks again here in week 3 now.
Yeah, different defense, you know, some real good talent. This Argo defense, mentioned Wynton McManus and all the damage he did as a Calgary Stampeder, now a Toronto Argonaut. Jagarrett Davis also on that D-line. It's going to be tough to handle tonight.
Now 1st and 10 on his own 54 for Rourke. 3 receivers to his left. Underneath, he's got a completion. And that's to his fullback, getting everybody involved here early. David Mackey with the catch.
Played his college ball in Ohio. This was week 1 against Edmonton 2 weeks ago. Patient, as Dunnigan said before the game, in the pregame, you know, really experience and poise beyond his years. You know, most quarterbacks that come up here from the States or wherever they come from take 3 or 4 years just to have the game slow down enough to show some poise. Showing it early.
2nd and a couple here. They'll get it to Butler. And Butler cuts his way inside the 45 for another BC Lions first down.
Yeah, that was a cool discussion we had with James Butler when we asked him, have you ever done that before? 4 touchdowns in a half of football? And he said, well, you know, my coach from back in, as you mentioned, he said, you know, but I said to my coach, hey, I think I was 10.
Yeah. I mean, also a great accomplishment for all you 10-year-olds out there.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're 10 and you got 4, way to go. That's a big game.
In one half was just, that was just remarkable being here a couple of weeks ago for that. Here's Rourke now, flushed out of the pocket, turns, rolls to his left. He's got a ton of room. Thought about going downfield, makes a man miss. Look at Rourke go, and he's going to take it inside the 35, and it looks like he's got enough for a first down.
Well, first, I like the raw instinct of him bailing out the way he bailed out, because the pressure was coming to the field side, and he does sort of a blind turn and bails out away from the pressure. That buys him a little time to look downfield, but instead of forcing it, picks up what he can, get the first down, and get out of bounds.
11 yards on the scamper for Rourke. He's 3 for 3 to start the game. 18 yards through the air. Now tosses this one to Lucky Whitehead, who cuts it back inside the 25 down to the 20. And forced out of bounds, and just another one of those weapons that they've got in this offense.
Yeah, he was targeted 6 times against Edmonton. Caught all 6 for over 100 yards, Lucky Whitehead. Look at the 2. We're going to track where they line up, and if it's Lucky Whitehead and Brian Burnham lining up together the entire time, because if that's what you got to deal with defensively,
nightmare.
Yeah. that's speed and maybe the best hands in the last 5, 6, 8 years in Brian Burnham.
A nice drive to start for the Lions. Can they finish it though? Rourke, he's going to look to finish it right now. Far side touchdown. He's got him. Brian Burnham strikes early. BC on top.
A great opening drive for the Lions and for Nathan Rourke. All the questions here in Vancouver, and there has been a massive buzz after 59 points 2 weeks ago, and then they had to go through the bye, so that buzz has lasted for a couple of weeks. And the question was, can Nathan Rourke do it again? Now, this is early first drive, obviously, but great poise and patience on the opening drive of the game. Used the backs, short crosser, and 3-man pressure, which he did on that second down at midfield, and finishes with the Brian Burnham touchdown.
Sean White, who was 8 for 8 with extra points last week, knocks another one through, and the BC Lions offense picks up where it left off. They lead 7-0. Rourke to Burnham completes an 8-play, 68-yard drive that took just over 4 minutes to start this game, and the Lions in control.
Picking up where he left off 2 weeks ago.
Flintoft will kick it away. Argos will return it back outside the 30. Burnham, 5 touchdowns last year. He's got his first this year. I mean, you don't want to leave anybody wide open, but for Burnham, an easy one for him. And now a chance to answer on the other side from McLeod Bethel Thompson.
Yeah, very different story, right? I mean, he gets the win in week 1. You know, really good numbers, 269, the touchdown, the interception, but just a completely different story. 24-year-old Nathan Rourke. They don't play against each other, but going head-to-head with 33-year-old Sacramento State McLeod Bethel Thompson, who's seen a few teams in his career.
He's going to open up this game with a completion to Markeith Ambles.
Basically 11 different teams for McLeod Bethel Thompson in 4 different leagues. And I asked him coming into this game tonight about getting the keys to the car. I mean, he's been in a lot of those teams, the 11 different teams, NFL, CFL, arena leagues, all of it. And he said, you know, when you're the guy, you can fail in camp and try things.
East Division All-Star last year. He's got another completion, this one to Daniels, and that will go for a first down. So both offenses clicking here in the early going in Vancouver.
Yeah, and you know, I thought that was interesting because you don't want to fail. Obviously, you're trying not to fail, and you're trying to look good for your coaching staff and get that offense in gear as quickly as possible in camp. But you can also push it when you're the guy. You know, push the ball and try it in windows that you might not try if you're trying to make the team. it was an interesting perspective from a guy who's been around and been with a lot of offensive coordinators.
Handed off here to Harris, and he will be stopped as he got back to the line of scrimmage and no further. Tim Bonner was in on that. Got to pull that jersey down, man. You're killing me up here.
Well, you know, all the talk in week one against Edmonton was Nathan Rourke and the offense, but this defense put on a show, you know, on that side of the ball as well against the Elks. Bunch of interceptions, 4 in total.
TJ Lee had 2 of them.
Yep, 2 from TJ Lee.
Empty backfield here, 3 to the left, 3 to the right. And he's got a completion down inside the 40. Staying on his feet is Daniels. He'll take it inside the 20, down to the 15, and a little bit further as the Argos strike back in a big way.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that this is partly due to a rule change and to the rule change of the hash marks coming in. I've been sort of in a wait and see mode to see how this would really transpire into more offense and more points. I would say that this one gives that seam on the hash more room to come from outside in and have that kind of open space.
48 yards for Daniels. Now towards the end zone, and that's going to be kept just short. But McLeod Bethel-Thompson moving the ball nicely here in the early going. The Argos 25% inside the red zone so far this year, 1 for 4 last week.
That's a slant. Now that's just timing, and McLeod Bethel-Thompson has nice accuracy here because receivers want this, and Brandon Banks wants it right between the numbers. If he has to reach for it, that's when turnovers happen on those slant routes.
Set up on the 1. This is Harris territory. He's going to try to push through, and the Lions will have none of it. And is that TJ Lee in on the tackle?
Didn't look offensively like this was executed real well at the point of attack. On the right side of the formation here, it just looked like Ambles, who was trying to help out in some blocking schemes. Watch, he comes inside, and then he kind of stutters, and he doesn't quite, they kind of fall into an open space, and just didn't look like the blocking was set up well in the BC defense right in their kitchen.
Austin Simmons now into the game. Short yardage here. Quarterback. He's going to keep it. He's going to try to push ahead. Looking for the major. Did he get enough? They dig through the pile looking for a result. And it does not look like a signal is coming just yet.
Like the reaction of the veteran Brandon Banks up at the top of your screen. He turned to the refs and said, come on, he must be in. He's got to be in and all that. And then as soon as he saw that there was no touchdown signal, he went right to looked at the bench and went, come on, let's go for it. Let's go for it. And they will go for it.
BC Lions defense with the crowd behind them, looking for a huge stop right here. Simmons set again, pushes ahead again, and he is stopped again.
I don't think so.
BC Lions with the denial at the 1.
3 plays.
A good first drive for the Argos comes up empty.
Empty backfield, but that's something that I said throughout the years, that is the moment that you empty the backfield, you've eliminated any other option but one. Now I guess you could rear up and throw it.
You also got one of the best guys to ever do it behind you in Andrew Harris. And he got the first crack at it, but didn't get anywhere in the second one. So here's Whitehead. He's got a completion. He'll haul it in and take it out towards the 10 and give this offense a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, it's a great point. Andrew Harris, he got the first crack, and Dinwiddie decided to go 2 quarterback sneaks after that. 3 stops. That's a momentum grabber. Now, can Nathan Rourke get it out of the hole here?
Rourke, 6 of 6 for 58 yards and a touchdown. Excellent first drive to put his team on top. 2nd and 3 is what he faces here. And he's got another completion, and that'll go for a first down as he gets Devon Katoy involved. That is the 6th different player to catch a pass already in this football game.
Yeah, running the offense. You know, real comfortable in the offense. That's one thing Rick Campbell said to us in the Zoom call, was that, you know, wasn't surprised after week 1. If you're around Nathan Rourke throughout the practice week and throughout training camp, you know that he works his butt off. He's first guy in, last guy to leave. Jordan Maksimich's got great experience, worked with Michael Riley in Edmonton and here in BC.
Rourke has that one batted away by Jagarrett Davis, and that is the first incompletion of the game for Rourke.
Yeah, Jagarrett Davis didn't get a sack in week 1, but you know he'll get his share. And it is absolutely phenomenal to me that he has been in the league every single year, has gone to the Cup.
It's an okay
Four or
record.
five. Is it 4 or 5 in a row? I don't know. How do you do that?
Hatcher with the catch. And that's going to go for a first down again. And this is a guy who flies under the radar a little bit with some of the other names here. But
yep,
he's got a touchdown already this year. Caught every ball thrown his way, I believe, as well. Oh, actually, one tonight, that one was batted down, was in his direction. But
well, right now, I just, you know, I like the fact that Nathan Rourke is running the offense and the timing on the throws. I mean, the receivers are coming out of their breaks and the ball arrives.
We chatted with Rourke earlier in the week, and he said, yeah, you know, I missed a few throws. But he was 26 of 29 in week 1. Now they're going to hand it off to Butler, who did some serious damage against Edmonton as well. And he'll pick up a decent chunk on first down.
Argos gave up 73 yards rushing in their first game. It wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible in the 1-point win versus Montreal.
BC had 187 yards on the ground in week 1. 108 of those coming from Butler, who was involved in the passing game as well. Here's Rourke, 2nd and 6. Near side, Whitehead goes down to get it. Looked like he had it initially, and then it kind of popped out as he went to get up. And they're going to say it's an incomplete pass.
Well, we'll take a look. Take a look at this and see coverage over there by Jamal Peters. Looked like he caught it there, and then when he went to get up, it came out. So he caught it. He's automatically down by contact.
Looked like a catch, right?
It looked like
he would have been ruled down when he caught that ball.
Unless he, well, we are going to challenge. We are going to get a challenge. So looks like Rick Campbell wants to challenge us and take another look at it. He was reluctant to throw it this early.
BC is challenging the ruling on the field of an incomplete catch. The play will be reviewed.
First challenge of the year from Rick Campbell. What do you think? Looks like a catch, doesn't it?
The ruling on the field is overturned. We have a completed catch at the 44-yard line. It'll be 1st down and 10 for BC.
Kind of what we thought after we got a second look at it, right?
Yeah, he was down by contact, because if he was not touched and then didn't secure the ball like he was going to get up again, then that could almost be, was it a fumble?
If you ruled that he had the catch and then was getting up and making a football move.
Exactly, but he was touched well down in that first move to catch the ball and overturned.
83 yards passing for Rourke to start this game. Now he's going to look for a big chunk more down the field. He's got it! Took a deep shot to Dominic Rhymes, and he hauls it in.
Okay, that's a wow, man. That is a wow. Nathan Rourke can spin it. I'm telling you, that ball was a tight spiral down the seam in stride. Quad receivers, one's free. Lucky Whitehead draws the coverage up towards him. It looked like it was Amos.
46 yards on that play to Rhymes. Now they're going to toss it to Whitehead, and he'll pick up 4 or 5 on that first down carry. Rourke now at 136 yards, 10 of 11 to start the game.
Started on the 1-yard line. Let's take a look at this throw one more time and slow it down for you, because this is a nice seam throw, on point, tight spiral, in stride, over the shoulder. Tremendous throw down the seam for Rourke.
4 yards, the pickup for Whitehead on that first down carry. 2nd and 6, a drive that started on their own 1. Rourke dumps it off to Butler, hauls it in, will be stopped at the 15, and that'll bring up 3rd down.
Yeah, there's 3 stages when you get the ball down at your own end, inside your own 10-yard line. The first stage is to get it out of trouble. So even if you have to, you can punt it, but you've got some field position back after your defense makes a big stop. The second is get it into the green zone, and the third, put points on the board.
7 different receivers have a catch already from Rourke. He's 11 of 12, and this drive has set up a 21-yard field goal attempt for Sean White. Hit the only one that he had a couple of weeks ago, and he'll knock this one through as well. BC Lions put up 59 points in their opener a couple of weeks ago. Tack on 10 more here. Rourke flashing some brilliance again early against the Argos.
Quarterbacks are basically 15 for 16 in the first quarter, so both offenses are running well. The problem for McLeod Bethel-Thompson is he's only had 1 drive. He only got 1 drive. And what didn't show up on those stats were the goal line stand. 3 shots for Toronto down on the 1-yard line, and the BC Lions shut the door there. Nathan Rourke goes the distance for a field goal the other way, and that's the entire quarter. So it's not like the Argos offense isn't playing well. They just haven't seen the ball.
Let's see if they can find a response here early in the second quarter. Entertaining first quarter here on a Saturday night at BC Place. They'll swing it out to Harris. Harris, there's that spin move, and he pushes it ahead. Let's take a look at this Argos offense, brought to you by Expedia.
Well, Andrew Harris is come full circle. He'll run in behind Justin Lawrence, who's the starting center for the Argos and comes over from the Calgary Stampeders. 33 games of experience, but I'm excited to see Andrew Harris back in BC, where it all began for him, and he's just 252 yards minus that last run, short of 10,000 in his career.
I'll hand it off to Harris. First push wasn't going to be enough, but he found more, and that should be enough for a first down against this BC Lions defense.
Yeah, one of the sack coming from Matthew Betts up front. He's going to rotate with David Menard on that defensive end spot. Boom Boachum on the other side is one to watch as well. Bola Combo leads the defensive tackles after that Edmonton game with 9 defensive tackles. TJ Lee, we mentioned, had the 2 picks, and they get Delvin Breaux back in, that shutdown corner back in there at corner. Didn't play in the Edmonton game.
Bethel-Thompson now 6th on the Argos all-time passing list, passing Kerwin Bell tonight, and he's going to look for another big truck here, trying to find Banks, and it is broken up. Delvin Breaux coming up over the top to cause an issue for Speedy B.
Yeah, that's what Delvin Breaux does. Now, you know, he's not a guy that's going to really wow you on the stat sheet with interceptions, but he will bait a receiver to think he's open. Look at the coverage inside. Finds him, turns, and closes. Banks has him on the original cut, but Breaux makes up that distance in a hurry and gets his hand on the ball.
Toronto is challenging the previous play for pass interference. The play will be reviewed.
I was just going to say there's a challenge flag out by the 40 here, as Dinwiddie is going to challenge for pass interference. Initial thoughts?
Yeah, my initial, seeing it live, I didn't see a problem. Delvin Breaux played the ball, but maybe there was something on that break, the replay, that was just outside of the screen that we didn't see. So let's take another look back at it. Ryan Dinwiddie, no contact there, played the ball.
See, it kind of looked like his arms came into his head right before that ball arrived. That must be what they're seeing.
Well, the problem with that is that both players down the field have equal access to the football. I mean, you can go and play the ball, and if there's contact.
So you're saying Bro's trying to cut in and just trying to pick that
He's
off.
cutting in to play it, but you look at how the head went forward from Brandon Banks. That's interesting too, because if that elbow pushes him.
Yeah, I think it was the first look we got from the end zone that probably gave the best look at it.
We'll see what they rule here.
This will be a big call in this football game.
Maybe for the elbow.
After review, the ruling on the field is overturned. We have pass interference against BC. The ball will be placed at the 21-yard line, first down.
Yeah, that must have been the reason for it, because you're allowed to play the ball, and if there's incidental contact as both players go up to play the ball, that's not pass interference. But if that elbow hits the back of the head of Brandon Banks well before the ball arrives, or just before it, then it could be.
Yeah, that end zone look was the best one. You saw him come across and looked like elbow to the helmet. Fans here aren't going to like it. Both coaches using their first challenges of the season, and they both end up paying off.
Well, that was a big one for Ryan Dinwiddie.
37 yards.
Yeah, that's a big play to get a first down and now get down here in scoring territory.
Last time they were down here, they took it all the way down to the 1 and were stopped 3 consecutive times by this Lions defense. BC have another stop in him here. Bethel Thompson looks to his left, forced out to his right, trying to get away, but he won't. David Menard tracks him down. 8 sacks last year, first one of the season in his return to BC.
Again, all of the nuance in the offense and running the offense correctly. Just look at the mistake made here by McLeod, Bethel Thompson, and Andrew Harris. The play action was to nobody. Harris either went the wrong way or McLeod, Bethel Thompson opened the wrong way. Either way, it wasn't right, and David Menard shuts it down.
It's a Mortal Kombat celebration, I think. I think that's what he was doing there, back to my video game days. Oh, it's exciting. Here's Bethel Thompson again. This time he steps up in the pocket. Has to keep it now. Past the line of scrimmage. Tracked down heavily from behind by Tehema. And he's pointing right to his helmet. Tehema's right there in the face of the officials as well. Boy, Sione Tehema has made an impact. 3 sacks in week 1. Tracks down the quarterback there.
Yeah, that was a great redirect by Tehema to turn. He's at the left of your screen up high. He gets that pass rush, but he's not done yet. He's going to keep hustling, beat all the other D linemen back, and make a good tackle from behind on Bethel Thompson.
Argos look to get on the board. Boris Beatty, now 4 of 6 on the season. And that penalty for pass interference helps the Argos make it a 10-3 football game. We'll get another look at Rourke. He's 11 of 12 for 139 yards and a touchdown to start this game.
Practice. He does some extra running. Now I asked him, where does that motivation come from? And he said, Kobe Bryant once said, if you love what you do, give it everything you have. And he really took that to heart. But as much as anything, he also feels he really needs to do it because quarterbacks don't do enough at football practice. They don't run like receivers and defensive backs. He wants to make sure he gets into shape, and he did this back in college as well. He said there was a moment in the season opener where he took off on a long run down the left side. On the following play, he underthrew Dominic Grimes in the end zone. He said, that can't happen. I've got to be available. I've got to be healthy. Normally, he goes home from the facility at 7 o'clock. He doesn't want to take his work home with him. I said, look, you're not married yet. You don't have kids. It's not going to be that easy. And he said he's thought about that. He thought about what Mike Riley went through, and he's actually thinking that if and when the time comes to have children, he wants to wait until after his career.
He's had an excellent start, as I mentioned. I quickly added it up. He's attempted 41 passes this season. He's completed 37 of them.
There you go.
Think about that for a second.
Really impressive at 90%. You know, and the last time a Canadian
Toronto,
quarterback
defensive line
started against the Toronto Argonauts, it was Julio Caravetta, who is the color analyst for the radio up there with Bob Marjanovic. And Julio, back in 1996, started against Doug Flutie and the Argos in Toronto And actually, it was a one-possession game. The Argos were up by 4, and Julio got pulled in that game for Damon Allen, who came in and didn't get the job done, actually. Doug Flutie and that stacked group in 96 beat him. You know, you go back and think about the players that Julio Caravetta was facing. I mean, you talk about Pinball was on that team. There's Julio getting ready for that first start. Last time a Canadian quarterback started against the Argos, and he got it out to Corey Philpott. We got the Philpott kids in the league now. That was a touchdown. It was 14-10 at the half. Julio, for some reason, got pulled. Still is not sure why. And and knows he's on TV. You know, and Damon Allen went on to a pretty good career, by the way.
Yeah, he was okay. Well, this is a tight window, and Rourke guns it in there.
But I bring it up because it's a completely different scenario now, and then fast forward to now, to today.
We're talking 25 years.
And this, and this is not an experiment or a gamble or taking a chance. You ask Rick Campbell what this is. This is a great player getting his opportunity. Simple as that.
Up to 150 yards now after that completion to Hatcher, his third of the game, third catch of the game for Hatcher. Whitehead's got 3 as well. 4 receivers to the right here for Rourke. A toss out to Butler. Butler cuts it back up, takes it inside the 35. A little hop on his way through.
Okay.
And Butler has picked up where he left off in week 1 as well.
Small world, right? You know, I mean, and this really is a football fraternity. When James Butler told us that he was in Saskatchewan's camp back in 2019 with Jamal Morrow, they were playing behind William Powell trying to make that lineup. He got cut. Jamal Morrow made the team, is now starting tailback for Saskatchewan, and Butler gets his opportunity. Last 4 games last year for Butler, sweet.
What a pass there by Rourke as he sidearms it out to Catoy for a completion.
You think about those last 4 games, he was averaging last season, James Butler, over 100 yards rushing per game in the Final 4, and then in week 1, boy, they got him rocking a lot of different ways, and he took full advantage of it. 23 touches, 141 yards in the 4 touchdowns we talked about. I just think it's a tight-knit fraternity. You're going to come across players either you played against, you played with as teammates. Of course, he was a teammate with Cody Fajardo in Nevada in college ball.
He told us, that. So there was one play last year. It's a 6-yard pickup, and he's like, that's just kind of when it clicked for me. Here he is again, and he's got a catch for a first down. He had a 141 total yards of offense in week 1, and of course we mentioned earlier the 4 touchdowns in the first half, but Rourke certainly loves getting him involved.
Well, he threads the needle there, that was throwing around the rush, changing the arm angle to get it to Butler on the check down, and then Butler does the rest.
Butler 30 on the ground, 17 in the air, a little bit more. Could have been there. And that one hit his left hand, dropped out. Jagarrett Davis was in the face of Nathan Rourke as he tried to put that one around him to Butler.
Wow, I mean, he catches this. Said something he really worked hard on coming out of college and through his college days, Butler, to work on his hands out of the backfield. He wants to be an all-purpose back, guy that can be relied upon. He just took a peek, but look at the space. Catch that, and they're playing the Lions fight zone.
He had a couple of touchdowns through the air in week 1, 2 on the ground as well. 2nd and 10 now on this Toronto 19. Rourke thought about going right back to him. Now to the end zone. Wide open and waiting. Dominique Rhymes, and the Lions continue to click offensively.
This kid is mature beyond his years, man. I'm telling you, I don't think I've seen this in my time in the game. I know it's early, but the way he looks off is what a veteran of 5, 6, 7 years does. Watch Rourke look to the back first and then come back to his backside route read and go to Dominic Rhymes over the middle for the touchdown. That's poise in the pocket, moving the safety or any coverage that's dropped off by that look to the back and then going right over the middle.
First touchdown of the year for Rhymes. 2 catches for 65 yards. Sean White will finish the job, and BC's lead now sits at 14. It was a 9-play, 70-yard drive that took just over 4 minutes, finished into the hands of Downey Grimes. 182 yards, 2 touchdowns in the first half. This will be kicked to Javon Leak. Leak takes it just inside his own 20. Leak looking for a hole, tripped up and taken down just outside his own 35. BC Lions in full control midway through the second quarter.
Grimes, and again, 5-6-year veterans do that well. Not very often to see a rookie do it like that.
A handoff here to Harris for maybe a yard. Interesting spot for the other quarterback. Cloud Bethel Thompson is 5 for 5 and is trailing 17-3.
Not getting the ball. When I say rookie, he was obviously played last year. This is start number 4.
Still very early into this
exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
2nd and 9 for Bethel Thompson. Works from his own 38. Backpedaling here, and eventually taken down as he looked for Marquis Hambles. BC Lions defense just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and eventually he had to get rid of that ball.
Yeah, at one point you do. I mean, there was enough time there for Bethel Thompson to find a guy. The receivers on that side, there was only 2 of them, and they were covered down pretty well. That Lions secondary gets the assist here, and back to work goes Rourke.
John Haggerty kicks this away. Whitehead waiting for it, takes it at his own 35. Lucky Whitehead, after a 36-yard kick, will take it back up outside his own 45 here on a Saturday night. Vancouver. CFL on TSN keeps on rolling next week, beginning with a West versus East Division matchup between the Lions and Red Blacks. Don't miss Thursday Night Football presented by 7-Eleven at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Exclusive TSN coverage all weekend long. Look at those wigs. What a setup. They are enjoying what they are seeing so far here tonight. Home side on top. 17-3. Rourke downfield looking for Whitehead. And that was defended well by Jamal Peters. Whitehead is saying, hey, wait a second.
Yeah, lucky. Yeah, exactly what he's saying.
He saw the same thing at the other end of the field.
He's tapping his helmet and he's saying, isn't this what we just saw when Ryan Dinwiddie challenged and it was an elbow to the head or a hit to the head? Now, Lucky Whitehead, after that last series, when he went out there after the punt return, he went back to the offense. Here's the punt return. Let me go back and show you, because
challenging the ruling. Sorry, BC is challenging the previous play for pass interference. The play will be reviewed.
Right here on the punt return, it looked like Lucky Whitehead got up slowly and had an issue with his ankle or lower leg. Almost like the ankle got caught underneath that tackler, and
just ever so slightly his left ankle.
Yeah, and so he was limping quite badly right after that. Then he got up, he got back to the huddle, and right out of the gate, he goes deep down the middle on the post. The very first play offensively.
Well, they're challenging, but I think he's down on the field again.
Yeah.
Getting looked at. Yeah, there he is. And now, they are working on that left foot ankle area.
As far as the challenge goes, I'm not sure I saw a PI there. Don't think I did.
It wasn't the contact on the helmet like we saw on the Banks play.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. BC will be charged to timeout. 2nd down.
Didn't look like there was as much there as we saw earlier in the game.
It's actually a real good, those 2 plays are basically the difference. I mean, you're both allowed to play the ball, and I think on this play, Peters goes up and plays the ball. He doesn't push Whitehead. The hand is basically on his shoulder pad, which is allowed. And there's no elbow to the back of the head, which was the difference.
Didn't seem anything blatant there, but you can see Lucky laboring after.
For the record, I probably, if I'm an official in that, I don't call either of those, to be honest. But I could see why they overturned the other one.
Rourke, that pass was a little bit behind the intended target, but boy, did Rhymes make a play on that ball. Reached back and got it.
I'll try and get an update on Lucky Whitehead's condition, because that's a valuable weapon out of the lineup. But Nathan Rourke, yeah, that's a great catch. That ball is behind him. That's tough coming on that dig route with defensive back
what a play.
From the backside. That's a great catch.
First and 10 now on the Toronto 48. Rourke looks to his left, throws to his left, as a completion to Catoy, but nowhere to go. That was Deshaun Amos who finished him off.
Little push route that I think when you look at this Catoy out to the flat here, it looked to me like Rourke maybe looked away and didn't see that halfback jump up and take Catoy. He throws it out there, and that Deshaun Amos was playing the tackle, not the ball.
And now a bobble here on the snap, and that will bring up third down with a loss on the play.
Third down, BC.
Rick Campbell obviously liked his team start in week 1, looking for that first 2-0 start since 2016. Flintoff's had a pretty easy job so far this year. There haven't been a lot of punts by the BC Lions. Leak takes us at his 5, works it right back up the middle, trying to stay on his feet, but he's wrapped up and taken down just outside the 20. Make sure you don't go anywhere at halftime. Lots to discuss coming out of the first 2 quarters here in BC. Kate and the panel will have that for you. More Nathan Rourke discussion coming, I'm sure. You ever paint your face, Glenn?
That's a good question.
I don't think I've ever gone full face paint.
I can remember waking up in college one morning and having paint on my face and not remembering how it got there.
Hey, you're all
Only
of us.
because I slept really hard. Yeah.
Michael Thompson, wide side of the field. Curly Gittins Jr. wide open, makes a couple of men miss, now takes it all the way out to the 40 and a little bit further. His first catch of the ball game as the Argos look to find some points before the end of the second quarter. They trail 14 out on the West Coast against the Lions. Well, as a quick tease, he's 6 of 7 for 101 yards. And he's got a lot of field to work with here late in the second quarter. Far side flag as Bethel Thompson was hit, and he threw that ball. That a roughing the passer sure seemed like it was in that area. Oh, is it a hold?
Was it, or was it a hold that got him down there?
Holding, Toronto, number 65, 10-yard penalty. Smith steals first down.
There he's Bladek, right guard. Bonner gets up there. Yeah, I think you can cloud Bethel Thompson well after the fact, just kind of fell over there.
Nice push from Bonner. At 5 sacks in 2021. That led the team. First and 20 now for Bethel Thompson. Tight window, and it's batted away.
Oh boy.
Delvin Breaux, and there's a BC Lion down on the field. Very slow to get up. That is Bo Lacombo, and they're going to stabilize his neck immediately. This is not a good scene here at BC Place. Now he's moving his legs a little bit,
He's trying to get up.
He's trying to sit up,
and
but
they're trying to hold him.
They're going to hold him in place. moved over to his right side there.
Well, there was a huge collision, and it was it might have been friendly fire too, because it's a crossing route. You see the come right in the middle of your screen, and here it comes, or that in route, and he hits Delvin Breaux without seeing him at all and being able to prepare for that, and he goes down. And when you go down like that,
Looked like he was out.
yeah, maybe unconscious for a second. You know, I don't want to speculate, but that's the movement with that arm that they'll be very, very, very careful.
Toronto is challenging the previous play for pass interference. The play will be reviewed.
Let's send it down to Farhan Lalji.
Yeah, guys, I think Suits is right. I think it was friendly fire and a pretty violent collision there. And you could see what was happening on the field where the trainers were trying to keep Bo Lacombo down. They wanted to keep him still and make sure every precaution was taken. And he simply wasn't willing to go there. Every time they tried to hold him down, he kept taking his left shoulder and putting it up and over. Wanted to make sure that he could feel his arm, make sure that everybody knew he was going to be okay. And, you know, he is that kind of player. He just doesn't get injured very easily. He tries to fight through a lot of that stuff. And you saw that right there. So a dangerous moment. You can tell he's still groggy as he tries to get up here. And I'm sure the team's going to take every precaution right now, given whatever he might allow them to do at this stage.
Yeah, I'll say I'm shocked that he's standing right now.
Yeah, the way he went down. And,
Yeah.
and you know,
Well, and he's a little wobbly still. They're obviously going to have to help him get over to the sideline.
there's the hit, and you can see off the hip of Delvin Breaux the helmet contact. So
It was a challenge.
but it's excellent to see him up and walking around. It's excellent to see him, you know, moving all the extremities and everything. And it's actually a good thing that he was kind of fighting to get up. I mean, that means he was.
Let's get the ruling on this challenge.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. Toronto will be charged a timeout.
BC losing last season's most outstanding Canadian. 4 sacks, 3 interceptions. Started this year with 9 tackles in the first game against Edmonton. And they've now got him over to the cart. High-speed game, scary plays like that are going to pop up. Still hits you, though, every time, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
2nd and 20 here for Kyle Bethel-Thompson. Steps up. Takes something underneath. Not going to go anywhere there, and that will bring up
The ruling on the
down.
field is an incomplete pass. 3rd down.
Yeah, you know, I agree. You know, back to the game, and Bethel-Thompson, when he broke outside of containment there, had lots and lots of time. Almost looked like he rushed it. That's a good sign. Lucky Whitehead back in the game after getting his ankle retaped.
Not only back in the game, he's set to return a kick here, so you have to think he's probably doing okay. You might be able to mix him in a little bit in the receiving game and protect it, but he's set to return. He's got to be doing all right after getting retaped. Bobbles this ball, just decides to go down and hang on to it. Don't miss the return of the Emmy-winning series critics call inspired and tremendously entertaining. Westworld, an HBO original, new season Sunday, June 26th, only on Crave. That's tomorrow, so be ready. Lions, just over 2 minutes to work here in the second quarter. They're on top, 17-3. Rourke closing in on 200 yards passing. He's 17-21, 197 yards and 2 touchdowns. And if you've got Rourke in fantasy again this week, you're loving what you're seeing here in the opening half of this game. A handoff to Butler for about half of what they need.
Yeah, so now you switch it over and you say, okay, the kid's hot again. Really good first half, seeing it, reading it, running the offense. So Corey Mays, the defensive coordinator for the Argos now, what do you do if you're him? Send pressure, see if you can rattle him. But if you get full blitz, it really actually simplifies the read for him.
2nd and 6 for Rourke. And he's able to find another man over the middle. It's Katoy.
So what I mean by that is you know, if you rush forward defensively and you drop the rest into coverage, then your quarterback will have to hold the ball sometimes because he'll think he sees something and then he'll wait for his receivers to open in a hole. That was 5-man pressure, so basically a stunt, not a blitz. If you send more than you can block, full blitz, you got man-to-man behind it for the most part.
Hand off to Butler. And that'll be blown down at about the BC 51. That'll put Butler right around 40 yards in the first half.
So essentially, you are giving a young quarterback a quicker read because he sees blitz and he sees its man. But if one of those guys is free, you can rattle a quarterback with some hits. So that's what Corey Mace is trying to work on right now, and probably will discuss with his defense at halftime. We start to send more pressure, full blitz, and even blitz from the secondary.
2nd and 6 for Rourke, near side. Burnham can't haul it in, got a hand on it right near the sideline, but it does fall incomplete, and that'll bring up 3rd down with 84 seconds left in the opening half.
With a decent return, the Argos have a chance, and that's a positive step just before the half. He put Jagarrett Davis in the middle, get him in a one-on-one with Peter Godber. That rushed the throw a little bit, and Burnham couldn't bring it in. So a bit of a return here, and Bethel Thompson may have some time.
Flintoft lets it fly. Leak takes it at the 9. 48-yard kicks brought back just outside the Argo 20.
He looks like he has a burst.
Just waiting for it, right?
Leak, yeah. Javon Leak out of Maryland. I don't know. Keep my eye on him.
Kick returner. We were talking earlier in the week about him with Dinwiddie. He said he's a kick returner by trade, but they've talked him into
some
returning
returns.
punts as well. He wasn't sure about it at first.
There's a little something there, though. There's a burst that I saw him run out of. He's been corralled, but I saw him run out of a couple of angles of tacklers coming at him, and he, with a little burst, beats him. Keep my eye on him.
The points here for the Argos would be huge, trailing by 14, just over a minute to go in the quarter. Near side, a completion, a heavy hit. Get out of my way! That is Cam Phillips lowering the boot.
That's good football. That's Marcus Sales over there. Gets him out of bounds. Two good players competing. The physicality in the game. And with all the rule changes and making the game safer, which is always a priority, we still love this physicality.
They'll hand it off. And Harris is stopped in his tracks.
Boom, got him. He just crashed down. I mean,
what a play.
You've heard about melting the edge. How about just smashing the edge? He just comes down hard on this as if he believes there's no way that Bethel Thompson will pull that ball and take it out around the end. And look at how quickly he just came down inside. And little Markeith Ambles is going to...
I was going to say.
I mean, Markeith Ambles is a heck of a receiver, great receiver, but that's a tough matchup for him to try to block.
6'2", 197 against Guacha, who's 6'5", 250. Shai Ross, who was signed this week after being released by Edmonton on the return here, and he'll take it back to the 40.
Yeah, interesting pickup. I mean, Rick Campbell said when Edmonton let him go, and we've seen his athleticism many times. I know that we've talked about that when he was with the Elks, and we've seen the Oreo cookie flip YouTube play, the YouTube video, and the weightlifting flip in the UT. He's a tremendous athlete and can be a returner, and that's one of the reasons that Rick Campbell wanted to sign him. He said, you know, he can help us in the return game. Great athleticism and good speed.
Yeah, first thing he said to us, he goes, he's an athlete.
Yeah.
We wanted him because he's an athlete. Everybody knows that. Mix him into the return game, and decent guy if you need to go to him. Oh, a massive pop. That's Butler. He gets absolutely hammered on the play. My goodness. And he tried to get up and went back down. That was McManus who caught him. Oh.
Yeah, this was pressure and just trying to get rid of it from Rourke, and wow.
Shoulder right to the chest. McManus, 7 tackles and a sack last week for the Argos, and now he goes over just to take a peek and see if Butler's okay. I mean, you want to hit hard. You don't necessarily want to hurt, but you want to hit hard.
No, absolutely. That's just a clean hit, and Butler will be okay. And you know, I didn't see the head contact. There was a whiplash effect for sure.
It was right to the chest, right?
But it was right in the chest and tackled through the ball carrier. That's a big hit. You know, when I go and talk to amateur football kids with the pads on, not flag football or touch, but when you get the pads on, and first question I always ask the kids, what do you like most about the game? And a bunch of them will put their hands up and say, I get to hit somebody.
What do they say about the other side of it? Getting hit, right? It's always about doing the hitting, which is...
I get to hit somebody.
That's what they're doing,
That's the answer all the time.
Those are the defensive guys, I guess. Here's Rourke, 2nd and 8. And he tries to cut that one into Burnham, and Burnham gets hit, but he hangs on to it. Richardson was there. I think Richardson got up. I don't know if he put his hands in the air because he can't believe Burnham held on to that, but Burnham is a little slow to get up here as well. What a physical affair we've got at BC Place. A little brouhaha happening down here.
First down, BC.
Richardson trying to get that inside position, then does. Good, comes out of his break clean. Again, just a good, hard, physical hit.
Almost shoulder to shoulder there, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. I wonder if Burnham landed awkwardly. Maybe it's a shoulder? There was nothing with the head there. So
yeah, exactly. And it also looked like he kind of went into the turf on that shoulder.
Had a touchdown earlier in the game. Let's send it down to Farhan Lalji.
Yeah, guys, some BC Lions going down by the play here, as you can see, and Bo Lacombe will not be back in this game. They took a look at the video the team medical staff did, and they determined that he was basically knocked out on contact. And the reaction that he had when he tried to get up was fairly normal in those types of situations. And you could see the trainer at the time putting his fist up in the air, which was an indication that it was serious. They did want the cart to come out right away, but either way, he was knocked out on contact and will not return to this game.
Well, the BC Lions are on top, 17-3, but this has been a half full of injuries for a team looking to go to 2-0.
Well, and it's clean hits. I mean, it's big hits, but it's clean hits. And the Lacombe one, that's a great sign right there. Brian Burnham's okay, but the Lacombe one was friendly fire,
yeah.
And then two guys breaking on the ball, Delvin Breaux and Lacombe, and then...
Yeah, nothing has been dirty. It's just been a heavy-hitting football game so far.
McManus and then Richardson, big hits.
1st and 10 for Rourke on the 53. Gets it to Matthew, his 2nd catch of the game. Ball popped up, but it sounded like it was after the whistle. Argos are going to want it, but they're not going to get it, I don't think. Moamba's not happy. Pretty sure he was down.
Second down, BC.
Knee touches.
Rourke near side, and that is caught by Hatcher as he steps out of bounds. They're going to say they're going to put
Timer,
1 second back up.
Please put 1 second on the clock. 1 second.
Which means a field goal attempt.
Oh, the Argos could have held on to the ball before they kicked it a little bit longer. They kicked it with 15 seconds left in the play clock, which left a little bit of time that you wouldn't have thought the Lions were going to have. And now that's going to roll out Sean White here to tack on possibly 3 more. This will set up a 44-yarder for Sean White. 3rd best career percentage of all time at 86.7% to put his team up by 17 at the half. And that one just sneaks through. BC Lions on top, handshakes all around from Sean White. Needed every foot to sneak that one in.
Well, we're going to throw it to the panel here any second, but while they're doing that, let's get some ice bags. I don't know. It's physical out there tonight, boys.
It's 20-3. The BC Lions lead at half. Let's send it back to Kate in the panel.
McLeod, 7 of 9 for 109. You're doing some good things moving the ball, but you guys haven't been able to finish. What can you do to change that?
Yeah, that's not how we want to start. So we got a whole second half to play ball. A lot more football. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, in that second half, you're down 17 going into it. So do you stick to the game plan or do you try to open it up a bit more?
You can't change the game in one play, right? We got to do it one play at a time, inch by inch, climb our way back.
Thanks for this. Guys, and as far as the Lions injuries are concerned, not good news. Both Brian Burnham and James Butler will not return to this game. They're both still in the locker room being evaluated. As far as Burnham's concerned, they're hoping it's a rib injury and that it's not serious, but too much pain to come back right now. We saw that it was a head injury as far as Butler's concerned, so the club's not taking any chances. And Lucky Whitehead seems to be spry, even though he's got that left ankle that was tweaked earlier. They're going to need everybody else as far as their offensive skill positions here in the second half if they're going to close this thing out.
Yeah, you know, we've been talking about it through the first 6 quarters here. The BC Lions have a lot of offensive weapons, and now, Glenn, that depth is going to be tested a little bit.
Well, then you start to lean on Javon Catoy and Dominic Grimes and Keon Hatcher. And a lot of weapons on the field still.
Underway. 3rd quarter. Leak with the return takes it out to about the 35-yard line. BC Lions defense has been going to work. They've allowed just 18 points in the first 6 quarters of the season.
Yeah, the defensive coordinator Ryan Phillips had him fired up early on, as Kate mentioned at halftime. And that goal line stand really set the tone for the Lions after a long drive for a touchdown from Nathan Rourke. The pressure got to McLeod Bethel Thompson a few times. They caught him from behind. Just 3 points on the board.
Toronto has moved the ball, has not yet finished though. Here they're going to get it into the hands of Curly Gittens Jr. and that'll go for a first down, pick up of close to 13 yards.
Yeah, the Wilfrid Laurier product has become a #1 target. I mean, after their first game against Montreal, he was targeted 8 times in that one. More than any other receivers, caught 6 of them. Starts this offense in the second half with a nice catch and first down over the middle.
1st and 10 on the 48. They'll hand it off to Harris. A nice cut. He's going to push ahead. And that's another first down for the Argos, who are trailing. They're down 17, but just starting the second half here, and lots of time to get Harris established after just 6 yards on 5 carries in the first half.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm marveling at how physical this game is. This is the most physical game I've been a part of in the 22 season.
I don't think it's close with some of the hits we saw on the...
I mean, that was a physical run by Andrew Harris.
Ball now on that BC 51. Back to Harris again, and look at this. A huge hole he's going to push through. And he comes mighty close to another first down, and the Lions are saying they've got the ball. TJ Lee all of a sudden has it. And the officials will gather to discuss. And they're going to say it's a turnover. A fumble from Harris.
On the field is a fumble recovered by BC. First down.
Real good blocking at the point of attack to get Harris into the second level, into the linebacker core. Boy, it's hard to see from that angle when the ball actually comes out. Can't see it at all. There it is on the ground.
That's a good shot. Pops loose. Well before he was down. We just said it. This BC Lions defense has made plays like this all season.
Take one more look because there's not really any players down. There's the ball right there on the ground, and clearly Andrew Harris is still up. Now he's down on his back right there, but the ball had been out before then.
Yeah, that's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, it is, except for the whistle and where that was, but I don't
Command
think they'd
center
stop
is
the play.
reviewing the previous play.
Command center is going to take a look at it. I think they'll likely see what we just saw in a couple of different looks.
Well, we've seen before where a running back or ball carrier forward progress is stopped, and yet the whistle hasn't been blown yet, but the intent to stop the play was there. So that's the only way that Andrew Harris survives this fumble here. But I'm not sure he's going to get it. Again, you're right. To get him established is so important. I mean,
well, he had 6 yards in the first half, and he had 20 on these 2 carries to start this half prior to this ball popping loose.
I think the bottom line here is the ball's out there, and he's still up. Like that's his backside right there.
Mad swarm of Lions to that ball. Man center took a look at it. Let's find out what the call is.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. First down, BC.
Crowd here at BC Place loves it. The defense goes right back to work. Now the ball back in the hands of Rourke. As Whitehead, a quick bobble, but he hauls it back in. And Rourke, excellent in the first half, 239 yards and a couple of touchdowns.
Well, yeah, and he started out the very first drive. This is a little 13-yard run in drive number 1, where he went 5 for 5, 51 yards. Finished that drive right out of the gate to start this game to Burnham with a touchdown throw, and then he got Dominic Rhymes. He got backside of the backfield, Dominic Rhymes for a touchdown over the middle. You mentioned the numbers. It was a great first half.
This one will go for another first down from the arm of Nathan Rourke in his first 6 quarters of the season, game and a half. 48 of 56 for 521 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
You know what's interesting about it is it's businesslike. You know, it's not too big. The stage isn't too big. The spotlight's on him. He knew it'd be even more so than most quarterbacks in start number 4.
This time, they'll hand it off to Mackey, who will carry more of a load here with James Butler not out there right now.
So there's the first 2 games so far. Well, 2.5 games so far. Pretty impressive.
87.2%. That's a field goal percentage, not a pass completion percentage. They'll get it to Whitehead again on second down. This will be stuffed by the Argos D.
Yeah, but this is a way, not on this series. They're going to have to. Well, maybe Rick Campbell decides to go for it here on third down, but it's a way with James Butler out, sort of an extended run play to go with some of those bubble screens, wide receiver screens, get Lucky Whitehead involved in those.
So third down, 3 yards. Rourke in the offense remains on the field. 3 receivers to his left. Rourke quickly to his right, has a completion. It's going to be driven back, but I think forward progress was near the 40, and that'll be enough for a first down as he goes back to Keon Hatcher.
That was precision route running from Keon Hatcher because he knew exactly where he had to go to move the chains. So he gets up the field and makes that break, so when he comes back to the ball and the ball arrives, he'll be right on the first down marker.
5th catch of the game for Hatcher. Whitehead's got 5. Rhymes has 4. Catoy has 4. Butler had 4 before he left the game as well. So Rourke once again spreading it around here at home on a Saturday night. Back to Mackey, right up the gut. Look at this run by Mackey and a hurdle over top of a defender. Ball pops loose, and the Argos are on it. Deshaun Amos comes up with it after a spectacular play by Mackey, but it must have bounced away as he came down after hurdling over the defender, as both defenses make big plays. Here's another look at it. Up, down, ball out.
Western product David Mackey with a nice run and a hurdle, but knocks the ball out of his own hand with his right arm. He gets up there and he knocks it out with the right arm, but the knee has not touched the turf when the ball comes out. Here comes the hurdle. He hits it himself. It's loose now. Keep going. And it's out before the knee touches the turf.
So Toronto gets it back, trailing 17, just over 5 minutes gone in the quarter.
It was closer than you think, though. I mean, the ball was out, right? He still has control. It's out now. So stop it there. And the knee has we're talking 3 or 4 inches from touching the turf.
2nd and 7. Bethel Thompson has some time, looks to the far side of the field, has a completion to Ambles, but it will not be what they needed to keep the offense on the field.
Yeah, but Bethel Thompson down there talking to his receiving corps. Like, I'm not sure if he wanted Phillips or... Oftentimes there's a read route out there where he wants the adjustment depending on the coverage. Didn't look like he got it there.
He hasn't been shy during his career to take shots down the field. Hasn't looked for many yet here tonight. Here's Shai Ross on the return, and Ross will take this down the far sideline. And a decent impact for Shai Ross in his BC Lions debut. Lions offense looking for more. They've got 20 already. Another completion for Rourke. Uses that far side of the field and gets it to Rhymes, who's having himself a game. He's closing in on 100 yards receiving.
Really locking in here on this really half-field drive for Nathan Rourke after the BC defense gets the quick 2 and out after the David Mackey fumble. That's a response you want. Now Corey Mace wants his group to get a little heat on the young quarterback. See if they can rattle him at all.
Hasn't happened yet, has it?
Got Mwamba close to the line of scrimmage.
2nd and 5 on the 44. Rourke flushed out of the pocket this time to his left. Takes a hit, still makes the play, and has a first down to Devon Catoy.
You know, when Farhan showed him working out and that tape of him doing some extra work and rolling out, he did this exact move in that workout. So young kids that are watching, and there's a bunch in the stadium tonight with the flag football initiative and all that, to get outside, throw on the run with accuracy, know you got a hit coming. He's rolling the opposite way, the way that's tough for a right-hand quarterback, and delivers a strike. Work on those things in practice, they transfer to the game.
Rourke, that one looks like it was batted away. Defended well there by Richardson. He's at 275 yards passing, a couple of touchdowns, getting everybody involved.
Yeah, Richardson's had a big game. I mean, he's been in good coverage. I've seen a couple of knockdowns now. He had the big hit, one of a bunch of them in that first half. 3 interceptions last year for Shaq Richardson, and putting together a pretty good game from that halfback spot.
Rourke finds himself 2nd and 10. 3 options over to his right. Looks to the left. Thought about it. Had to double clutch, and now he's going to be taken down. And that was Winton McManus. His 2nd sack of the season.
So adding in a player. So this is what Corey Mason, this is what I was talking about. Are they going to get to a point now where they're going to start to add in extra pass rushers to see if they can get a little bit more pressure on Rourke and get him to double clutch it, take a look, maybe hold it an extra second and try to get home? That's first time that they got to the young quarterback.
Hey, back up.
Sean White has this set up smack dab at the 50-yard line to give his team a 20-point cushion. And White puts it right down the middle. He's got enough leg. And Sean White remains perfect on the season in his return to the BC Lions team that now leads 23-3, doing it on offense, defense, and special teams.
From 10,000 rushing, but he just surpassed the 15,000 all-purpose yards from scrimmage number. That one means more to him because he said that's always been what he's been known for, a dual threat, actually a triple threat, rushing, receiving, and also in his pass protection. So 15,000 yards from scrimmage, that matters the most to him.
He's got a lot of accomplishments in the career, does Andrew Harris. 2nd and 5 on the 45, straight through, nowhere to go. Boom, he got him. Watch him, takes him down.
Trevante outside, Guacham in that 2-point stance off the edge. He's got a nice wide outside so he can go inside pass rush with a bit of a rip move with the right arm right through Tate and to Bethel Thompson.
John Haggerty out of Western Kentucky waits just inside his 25, set to let this go. That's taken just inside the 30 by Ross, a 44-yard kick from Haggerty. And lots of talk about the BC Lions offense so far this season. But Guacham says, what about us? BC Lions on top as we welcome you back to Vancouver. 23-20, the Lions lead. Rourke to his right. High ball, catch made. And Keon Hatcher is putting together a little bit of a football game here tonight.
Great hands, strong hands, go up and rip that one down. That had some heat on it, right to the sideline. And Rourke knew that there was coverage closing, so he had to get it there in a hurry, and did. And one of the challenges that Jordan Maksimic has now, the offensive coordinator, is James Butler is out. They didn't dress another true tailback. So David Mackey's seen a lot of football. Hasn't got it back since after that run that he fumbled. Here we go.
Looked like they were going to give it to him. Instead, it's gunned into the arms of Lucky Whitehead for a first down. Whitehead's 6th catch of the game.
Former Al's coach Mark Tressman used to call this the ride in the side. He rides David Mackey on that fake, pulls it, and then goes on the quick slant to Lucky Whitehead.
Tavares McFadden on the tackle of Whitehead. Whitehead's got 48 yards at 110 last week. Nathan Rourke now at 301 yards. Hand it off to Mackey this time, and he spins ahead. He had 25 yards combined on his first 2 carries, but obviously fumbled one of them.
Yeah, and that fumble, that's why I think it's important to get him the ball back. Get it back in his hands.
You're still our guy.
So
right
yeah,
now.
so we're going to need you the rest of the game. That's the message. You go right back. It's like a quarterback going right back to a receiver that drops one.
Second and 7 for Rourke. 3 receivers to his left. Goes over the middle. And that'll be another first down inside the 30-yard line. Back to Rhymes for his 6th catch of the game. 3rd Lions receiver to hit that mark tonight.
Okay, so here's Corey Mace now going full blitz. He's got to get Muamba up there. You're going to see McManus coming on a blitz. He's to the left of your screen. Can't see him just yet, but recognition there from Rourke. He sees full pressure. Blitz coming. His receiver sees the same thing over the middle. Dominic Rhymes. And execution to beat the blitz.
Zipped it in there quickly. Now they work from the Toronto 29. Rourke towards the end zone, wide open. Touchdown! Javon Catoy waiting for it, and the Lions strike again. They are loving life, aren't they?
4-man pressure this time. Corey Mays says, okay, that blitz didn't beat him. Let's go 4-man pressure, see if he can read the zone. And he did, was patient, waited, and Catoy in behind coverage.
Sean White, extra point, knocked home 30-3. BC Lions leading after a 5-play, 70-yard drive that took 2 minutes and 45 seconds for Rourke, who now sits at 342 yards passing and 3 touchdowns.
Oh, cheeky little route too by Javon Catoy. I mean, just even if you're running against a zone, you still want to make some moves out there to try and influence those zone players. So zone basically drop into a spot on the field, but you would think that the receiver should just in a zone, he should just, maybe just sit in the hole. But watch Javon Catoy here, how he makes this little move to cause the bust in the coverage, and 2 guys jump in. Lucky Whitehead saying he's the dangerous threat, and that little sneaky move in behind him from Catoy gets behind coverage.
If you look at Rourke's touchdowns tonight, Burnham wide open, Rhymes wide open, Catoy wide open as well, as they've been finding some open space in the defense of the Argos. Javon Leak on the return, forced out of bounds by Purifoy, but a solid scamper back. There's a flag at midfield as they took it outside the 40.
Just as Catoy was catching this touchdown, or just as it left the hand of Nathan Rourke.
During the return,
watch Lucky Whitehead. He knew it was a
Toronto,
touchdown right away.
number 85.
Oh yeah. They came to me.
Down.
Both guys, the deep outside 3rd player who had that zone, he jumped me, and so did the corner. Nathan Rourke.
It looked like Lucky was done his celebration by the time Catoy actually caught the ball. I can't help but feel like somewhere after their game today, the Elks are watching this and going, see?
Yeah.
See,
good.
This is what they did to us.
Yeah. Kids for real.
Touchdowns tonight from Rhymes, Catoy, Burnham. We've been moving that ball around. Whitehead doesn't have a touchdown yet on the season, if you can believe it. Everybody else finding the end zone in this offense.
And again, if you're just joining us, James Butler out in the first half. Brian Burnham did not return for the second half. Hopefully they'll both be okay. But Nathan Rourke's getting it done without him.
Got to get something going here if you're the Argos. Banks can't hang on. Delvin Breaux, who getting into the lineup this week, has had an impact in this ball game. He's there to make sure Banks couldn't make a play on it.
Yeah, he must be, because we haven't talked about Brandon Banks basically all game long. He hasn't really seen the football. And go back and look at the video. I guarantee you 23 has probably been lined up in front of him most of the night.
And Banks does not have a catch, drew that pass interference penalty, and that was the only other time we really mentioned him so far here tonight.
Here they are again at the top of the screen.
Bethel Thompson has some time. Now he's got a man far side, and it is Banks. Came back to the ball and catches it for a big first down.
Yeah, that's created with the time for Bethel Thompson to step up and allow Banks to, on this basic look like a go route, it's a zone look for Delvin Breaux, so that's not his responsibility. That's Sales in the deep outside third.
They'll get this ball to Ambles, and he'll push it out to around the 40-yard line, and a little bit of momentum for the Argonauts here at the end of the third quarter, but they need a whole lot more because the BC Lions picking them apart through 3 quarters at BC Place.
Bethel Thompson is pretty good, and yet the Lions defensively get him in 2nd and long, and then they force those underneath throws or throws to the sideline and then make the tackle, forcing the punt. So his completion percentage is there, just 66 yards though in the third quarter, and they've got to now start to really push the ball because of the deficit on the scoreboard.
Yeah, lots of talk about the Lions offense, and rightfully so, but their defense has been incredible. Just 18 points allowed so far this season.
On the third quarter,
through 7 quarters.
Sorry, in the third quarter, Toronto only had the ball for just over 5 minutes. So
I'm not sure you could draw up a better start for the BC Lions to this season. 59 points and then followed up by 30 here.
You know, last year, a lot of the players returned were in their first year last year.
Thompson has this knocked away, and that's Purifoy who's brought in to add to this defense.
Saskatchewan Roughriders last year made 39 tackles and a couple of picks, but he does more than that. I mean, he's all over the field. One of the great players in the league, as a matter of fact, defensively. And this crossing route, he closes quickly. And again, this is, you know, at this deficit, down by 27 points, at some point, Bethel Thompson's going to have to really push the ball. I mean, these 2 and outs.
Rourke
stating the obvious.
Up by 27, fired up with his defense. Ross takes it cleanly just outside the 30, lunges straight back up. Takes it just shy of the 40, where the BC Lions offense, who's put together some sustained drives here tonight, will get a chance to do it again here early in the fourth quarter. Rourke is 32 of 38 for 342 yards and 3 touchdowns. Lost his running back in this game, Butler, after 39 yards on 6 carries, and has just spread that. He's got 4 receivers with at least 6 catches in this game. 3 different guys have a touchdown through the air. What was he going to do for an encore performance? And he's followed it up in impressive fashion. This time they'll tuck it into the belly of Mackey, and he'll push ahead for close to 4 yards on first down.
Yeah, that becomes sort of the first down play, and it won't be every time, but you now want to run the ball, grind the clock down as much as, you know, move first downs, keep the Toronto offense off the field. That eliminates the chance of the comeback, but you're basically grinding it down because you keep the clock running on the ground. Not on second down necessarily.
2nd and 6 for Rourke. Far side of the field, and Cotoy turns his body around, reaches ahead, and yes, as he shows us, that's a first down.
Jacob Scarpone getting a little bit of playing time too, as Brian Burnham not in the game. So again, initial sort of assessment of Burnham and James Butler is that they'll be okay. They're still at an update, probably won't for the next couple of days, on linebacker Bola Combo, who also left in the first half.
The Canadian Cotoy, leading target of Rourke tonight. This time he'll go to Whitehead, and that's another BC Lions first down. Puts Rourke over 360 on the night.
Boy, Rourke's mechanics outstanding. I mean, just pops up, and he has 3 choices there. They're basically 3 curls to the but but his mechanics so good that he can really deliver to all three of them, and now the defense is left guessing.
363 yards, a new career high for Nathan Rourke. 12 and a half to play here in the fourth quarter. Back to Mackey. Look at the push from Mackey, and he'll take it down inside the 40, run the ball, pass the ball. It's all working for the Lions tonight.
Well, the O-line for this BC Lions team was question mark for a couple of years in a row, going back to before the missed season in 2020. And then last year, of course, and that was a question. Michael Riley, starting quarterback here in BC at that time, took a lot of hits, but they're much improved up front this year.
Second one, Rourke under center, and that line pushes ahead. And number 12 in orange follows.
We asked Rourke about Michael Riley and you know, what he learned from the great pro. Kelly Bates, the offensive line coaches, got those guys tuned up. Great coach, works on technique, was an outstanding offensive lineman himself for the BC Lions. But asked him about Michael Riley and said, you know what I learned more than anything was preparation. You know, just prepare, know what I'm seeing, see the defense, deliver the football. How you prepare and how you communicate with your teammates.
Work on the Toronto 37. And they'll hand it off again to Mackey for a decent push on first down.
Again, grinding the clock. 5 minutes of possession time for the Argos in the third quarter. And Rourke's grinding the clock on him again in this drive.
Apparently it's difficult to score if you can't get the ball back if you're the Argos.
Time of possession right now, 31 minutes for the Lions, 17 minutes for the Argos.
Score would back it up, 30-3 the lead. Another completion, this time to Hatcher. Dare I say it, I know it's not easy, but the Lions are making it look easy on this drive.
Well, in the last one, I show you Corey Mace mixing it up. I mean, he went with blitz on one, and then he drops out and plays zone in the other. The first one, Rourke picked up the blitz and hit Hatcher over the middle, or no, so, excuse me, Dominic Rhymes over the middle. The second one, when he went to zone, he hit Katoy for a touchdown. So, I mean, there's only so many things you can call defensively.
First and 10 on the 24. Fakes the handoff, turns, looks towards the end zone. Touchdown! Back to Rhymes. Rourke strikes again. A fourth time on a Saturday night at BC Place.
A little frustration from the D-line at the end of it. Frustration from the defensive coordinator for the Argos and Corey Mace.
Toronto, number 99. That 15-yard penalty will be applied on the kickoff.
Dwayne Hendricks, watch this. He sees another touchdown pass being thrown and he just goes, ah, man, this is getting too much, and just smacks him on the side of the head.
Slap to the face.
Yeah, that's going to be automatic call. But again, great mechanics, patient, finding an open receiver. Wow.
132 yards and 2 touchdowns for Dominic Rhymes as White pumps it through. BC pumping the Argos 37-3. 8 plays, 72 yards, over 4 minutes. Lions rolling.
With the buy-in between, this is an entertaining football team. You're living in British Columbia. Check him out. Check out this kid. He's worth the price of admission.
Isaiah Wright's looking for a spark, trying to find some room on the far side of the field. It's Flintoff who's going to run over there and make sure he's forced out of bounds. Nowhere to go at the end of a pretty decent return from Isaiah Wright for the Argos.
Discussions, and boy, is he doing a good job of engaging this fan base again. But that's where you start. That's the low-hanging fruit. The kids love the game already. Get them to football games, and that's exactly what he did today.
Late flag coming in here at the end of this play. So a lot of people say, how do you connect with that next
Unnecessary
generation?
roughness. BC, number 1. 15-yard penalty, first down.
That's how you do it, man. You get your flag buddies in there. You
Get some
get your
French fries.
burger. You get your French fries. You got your favorite players. And then you get pretty excited about a football team that's put 37 points up on the board to this point in the game, 59 in game 1. That will grow quickly.
The Argos on the BC 43. Some pressure coming from Purifoy. Bethel Thompson near side. Gittins Jr. is wide open, and that'll be enough for a first down, but there's a flag back near the line of scrimmage.
Now, I'm going to throw it out there, and I know that there's two schools of thought here, but McLeod Bethel Thompson.
Illegal block, hands to the face. Toronto, number 59. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Hasn't played poorly, and he doesn't play defense. However, the other thought is when you're in a 34-point deficit with about 8:50 to go, and you got a young guy in Chad Kelly on the sideline that you could get some really valuable reps against a good defense, see if he could provide a spark. Two schools of thought there.
Bethel Thompson in trouble here. About 4 members of the BC Lions defense are there to finish him off as they swarm together. Was it Purifoy who started it?
That's what I meant about Purifoy. I mean, he just disrupts, has that great football IQ. You hear that all the time, the football IQ. Understand time and space, when and how to be there, how quickly to get there, the angles on the field. I bet all the free agents that changed teams, Saskatchewan didn't want to lose Luchez Purifoy.
2nd and 28. Dumps it off to Harris. He takes it back on to the BC side of the field, but nowhere close to what they needed. Less than 8 minutes to go here in the 4th quarter.
And he's leaving the offense out there, really has to.
Bethel Thompson, 22 of 31 in week 2. And now he's been picked off down at the 30. Gary Peters slides underneath that one, and the BC Lions defense keeps the party going in Vancouver tonight. 37 points for the Lions, and they've allowed just 3.
Chad Kelly some real important reps against a good defense, and Rick Campbell's got to make that call pretty soon here with Nathan Rourke as well, you would think.
Bethel Thompson did grab a tablet and sat back down with his receivers.
Now, they don't know this, I don't think, the BC Lions, but Jerry DiTilio set the Canadian quarterback record for passing yards in a game at 427 back in 1981. And right now, Nathan Rourke is just shy of that at 397. Now, they don't know that, and that really shouldn't be part of the decision.
Yeah, they're not leaving him in for a crack at it, but the way this offense has been playing, he needs 30 yards to tie it, 31 to break it. And just his 2nd start of the year. There's a chunk to Whitehead, who's going to turn around. As he does, he lunges forward. And he'll take it almost out to the BC 50.
Yeah, but you know, I'm in the school of this game is in the books. You know, we always say no lead is safe. I think this one is safe, but Rick Campbell's got to think about some reps for Michael O'Connor.
Now, with how physical this game has been as well.
Exactly.
You know? 1st and 10 on the BC 48 for Rourke. He's at 412 yards. First 400-yard game of his career. And, boy, a nice push ahead. Get about half of what they need on first down there. The Argos are pointing the other way. But
well, it's quite a story, isn't it? There's Nathan Rourke's family, and You know, again, really no surprise from the people who know him. It's such a good story in so many ways, and yet .37 so far in game 2.
2nd and 6 for Rourke. Whitehead again lunges ahead down towards the 40 for Rourke. And that might be the record for a Canadian quarterback in a game in the CFL. He's awfully close to it now. Couple more yards to go. Sitting at 425 now with 4 touchdown passes, and he's 38 of 44. Unreal game that we're witnessing here tonight in Vancouver.
Well, here's what we have.
David Mackey with the football.
But here's what we have. We have Nathan Rourke is a good story, as I mentioned, but aside from that, he's been the best quarterback in the league so far this year. I mean, I don't think there's any. It's not even close.
No,
it's not even close. So this young guy in start 4 has been the best quarterback and the best passer in the league.
2nd and 7. Passing situation here for Rourke. 3 to his left, 3 to his right. Passes up, it's good, it's complete, it's a record. With his family watching on, he goes to Dominique Rhymes and sets the single game passing yard record by a Canadian quarterback. That now belongs to Nathan Rourke.
Well, it's a real small sample size, but if he keeps playing the way he is, it won't just be Canadian quarterback numbers that he looks at breaking.
There's been a lot of quarterbacks who play in this league who haven't put up 436 yards passing in a game. He's got 4 receivers to his right. Back to Mackey. A huge hole here for Mackey. Mackey's going to take it to the 10, to the 5, and that's where he will be stopped. He has done an excellent job outside of the fumble, filling in here for Butler.
Well, you know, Dwayne Ford will say it's Western. I mean, like, come on, it's he has. I mean, that fumble was self-inflicted wound. He hit it with his elbow. This one is filled in nicely.
BC Lions putting on a show at home against the Argos. On either side of the ball tonight. Rourke, 1st and goal from the 5. Hands it off to Mackey. Mackey trying to stretch it out, but he will be wrapped up and taken down. Looks like for about a loss of 1. To Garrett Davis there to make sure he couldn't find the end zone.
Oh, we got to check in on the touchdown passes for a Canadian quarterback, because Nathan Rourke throws here. He's looking at number 5.
Rhymes has 2. Katoy has 1. Burnham has 1, no longer in the game. They've been missing Butler and Burnham in this second half, and the offense hasn't really missed a beat. Rourke hands it off again to Mackey, stopped just shy of the end zone. Looks like they're going to mark him at the 1. That'll bring up 3rd and goal. An opportunity here to get Mackey his first career touchdown as he steps in and does an admirable job. He's got 82 yards on 12 carries.
Great job, yeah, and the right thing to do to run Mackey a couple times here, probably a 3rd.
Mackey stands to the left of his quarterback, Nathan Rourke, 3rd and goal. They give it to Mackey, trying to push ahead. The Lions are saying that he is in. David Mackey for the first time in his CFL career.
All right, BC fans, you got a good team here. quarterback put it right on the fairway one more night, didn't he?
10-play, 79-yard drive. Took up almost 6 minutes. And it's finished by the fullback. Everybody contributing. Rourke, a shining star, obviously, but everybody chipping in offensively here for the BC Lions. Sean White knocks another one through. And the lead now sits at 41 points after winning by 44 in week 1.
Well, let's take a look at the kids' night. This was drive number 1, 5 for 5, 51 yards, 24 years old. Born in Victoria, grew up in Oakville, and got it done again. Looked poised, read the defense well. They tried to pressure him, didn't work. They tried to play zone with 4-man pressure, didn't work. Final numbers so far, 39 of 45, 436, a new record for Canadian quarterback in the CFL, and 4 touchdowns without an interception.
Weird to say it, but Glenn, he's just getting started.
He's just
getting started.
That's the next time.
What a start for the BC Lions. First 2 games, both of them at home, and obviously giving these fans something to cheer for and a big-time reason to come back again. Leak on the return. Stumbled his way ahead, stopped at about the 36-yard line. And now we'll get a look at 28-year-old Chad Kelly out of Mississippi.
Yeah, he got the nod about 7 minutes ago. You're going in next series from Ryan Dinwiddie.
Had a little bit of time to think about it.
Chad Kelly, yeah, and he goes, okay, so now he just needs to stop. And the Lions went all the way down the field, over 6 minutes in the drive, and finished with a touchdown. So now Chad Kelly's got a $137.
Signed in February. By all accounts, they like what he's capable of. He's got a completion to start. Aren't going to go for much, but he gets it into the hands there of Isaiah Wright. Kelly, the last pick of the 2017 NFL draft, 253rd. And this one will fall incomplete. It looked like Tavares Daniels turned and wasn't sure if it was coming his way. And that'll bring up 3rd down, but this offense won't be going anywhere with 1:21 seconds left in the game.
So here's the hill that the Argos have after this game. They're home against Winnipeg, 3-0 Winnipeg.
Yep.
They're home against Saskatchewan after that, and then travel to Saskatchewan. That's what's on the plate for Ryan Dinwiddie and his squad in the next few weeks.
BC gets Ottawa, and then I believe a matchup with the Blue Bombers. Big hit. Kelly is absolutely popped. The ball pops loose. And that's Menard. He hops on it. The Lions defense takes another one away. Had a sack earlier in the game, and it blows up Chad Kelly. Welcome to the Canadian Football League.
Couple plays tonight from David Menard. Both coming off the edge. Pickett getting a chance to play in that inside rush from Menard. Gets home, but Chad Kelly kind of settled in there. You know, that magic time clock in the head of the quarterback. He was waiting for his receiver to come back to him, it looks like, and he didn't.
Nathan Rourke's night is done. All smiles on the sideline. O'Connor comes in, hands it off to Mackey, who pushes ahead and bounced back wonderfully after a fumble early in taking over for Butler. He's got 13 carries, 83 yards, and a touchdown prior to that one.
Yeah, now there might be some that say, you know, the BC Lions have played Edmonton and Toronto. Now, Toronto was first place finisher last year, so that's not a pushover.
They were 9-5 last year.
Yeah, and a very
added to the roster.
And a very physical, talented team. Ottawa much improved, and then BC has Winnipeg and Hamilton.
Handing it off to Mackey again, and he'll take it down. We said at halftime, or BC Lions, we've said they've got a lot of weapons. Their depth's going to be tested here a little bit. And I guess they passed with flying colors.
They went to work when their quarterback, you know, it's also amazing when an offensive line struggles and we say, well, the offensive line is struggles and that's a real issue for this team. And then you get a quarterback with the quick read and release that Nathan Rourke has shown in 2 games. Boy, all of a sudden the offensive line looks really good when the ball's out of his hands so quickly.
On 3rd down as his clock ticks down. And
so what's impressive to me is his composure and just his calm, cool demeanor out there, leading by example. His mechanics, you know, when I sit and talk to Matty Dunnigan about mechanics and listen to him break down how quarterbacks release the ball, how they step with that front leg, their hips, all of it. Tremendous mechanics from Nathan Rourke, even when he's moving side to side and throwing on the run. But running the offense and being patient, that's the one thing I've seen throughout time and throughout history, is that the young quarterbacks in their first 10 starts, they're so impatient to try and push the ball and make an impression. And they don't just run the offense. And early on in this game, Nathan Rourke was using the backs out of the backfield, little crossing routes. He ran once, just running the offense.
Kelly's going to roll to his right. He'll dump that off for completion again to Isaiah Wright with 6 seconds on the clock. Rick Campbell has to be happy. The BC Lions are going to go to 2-0 for the first time since 2016. Rourke following up a player of the week in week 1 with a very likely player of the week coming his way again.
Yeah, he's a rising star. Broke a Canadian record tonight, set by Jerry Detilio, and passed for more yards than any Canadian quarterback in the over 100-year history of the league.
Kelly on the run to end this game. He's going to heave one deep, and that'll be intercepted for good measure. Dropped back the other way by the Lions, and that is going to do it. Quincy Mosier ends this game with a bang. And it's only 2 games, but Glenn, are the BC Lions for real?
Well, that quarterback is, Nathan Rourke is the real deal. It's a long season. This is a small sample size, but he has been dynamite.
A record-setting night for Nathan Rourke. 39 of 45. 436 yards. A record for a Canadian quarterback in a single game in this league. 4 touchdown passes. 2 to Rhymes, 1 to Catoy, 1 to Burnham. He spread it around. The BC Lions, after opening their season with a 44-point victory against Edmonton, they follow it up with another beat down at BC Place. 41 points. The Lions win 44-3 over the Argos. That's going to do it for us. Let's send it to SportsCenter with Sarah Davis and Jermaine Franklin.